Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue watching 90 Day Fiancé. Let's see what happens.
Today was really bad timing for this to all happen because tonight we have my bachelor party planned. That's kind of important, I want to have my last little getaway before I get married. But I look at Yara, she's not feeling well. I'm in a pickle, I don't know what to do.
Okay, as always, there's nothing wrong with where Jovi is, where his head is at. He's like, okay, Yara fell down and she's hurting and she probably wants me to stay home. And I have this bachelor party that I've been planning and I really want to go to that. On one hand, maybe I should stay home and postpone the bachelor party because Yara probably wants me to stay home with her. On the other hand, I kind of want to have the bachelor party and I'd be disappointing my friends if I were to cancel it. And, Yara, she's a grown woman. She can handle it on her own. What am I going to do to help her? So there's nothing wrong with having that debate. How do you communicate about it? If, let's say, Jovi's like, I think I do want to do the bachelor party. He could say to Yara, look, I know you're hurt, and if you really, really want me to stay home, I will. But I really want to go to this bachelor party. And if you can handle things on your own, then is it okay if I go? But I feel bad. I feel bad just asking you that, Yara. But I don't want to hurt your feelings. So if you don't want me to go, I won't go, and I won't punish you. I'm not going to be angry at you. Can we talk about this? So let's see how Jovi communicates about perhaps his valid debate there in his mind.
I don't know. Yara fell today while we were in the street, so.
Well, you can't make your own bachelor party, man.
Yeah. I'm going to talk to her. I'll let you know in 10 minutes.
Okay.
All right, later.
All right.
So what do you think?
I'm here.
Okay, so he says, what do you think? It's not a great opener, but maybe he's saying, look, if she wants me to stay, then I'll stay. And then she made a good move of, come here. And so maybe if they're sitting close to each other, they have some physical warmth that usually brings people's stress level down and they can not be as triggered. Let's see how this conversation goes.
So what do you feel about?
I would do whatever you want. If you tell me you don't want me to go, I won't go.
You want to go so much?
I don't know, a little bit I want to go, but I don't want anything. I want you to be okay, too.
All right. It's going great so far. She's like, well, what do you want? She's trying to gauge what he wants. Now, we don't know how she feels about either option, but she's trying to feel him out. Like, how bad does he want to go? I want her to stay. I want him to stay, but if he really wants to go, maybe I'll let him go. And he's saying, look, yeah, part of me wants to go, but part of me doesn't want to leave you on the lurch. So this is going great so far, especially when we compare this conversation to their previous ones.
I can let you go, but just like for a short time.
Joey been really good to me lately. He been staying at home with me. He been caring about me. So I want to give him this last night out.
Okay, so it's kind of a recipe for disaster. She's saying just for a little bit. I don't think it's going to be for a little bit. One, it's a bachelor party. Two, there's a lot of other people there. Three, from my understanding, him and his friends are used to a certain level of partying, and so if I were Yara, I'd be like, well, if I'm okay with him going, I just have to let him go, and I might not even see him until tomorrow morning because given the way him and his friends are. So let's see how this goes.
Okay, so I will go?
But not for a long time. Be an hour and a half maximum.
Hour and a half? What you want me to do in an hour and a half?
So I'm trying to understand what her thinking is at this point. I would want to know, like, what are you worried about if he stays out later? Because if she says, well, if he stays out later, that means he's going to get really, really drunk and he might do something bad. Okay. So you could communicate that and say, look, I don't want to put a time restraint on this, but I will tell you, I'm really worried. You're going to get super intoxicated. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt someone else. You're going to make a bad choice. And I just want to tell you that I'm worried. And maybe they could have a conversation about that. Putting an hour and a half on it is okay for her, but I don't think it's realistic. And then from his point of view, he might say, well, okay, you want me to stay out for an hour and a half. I don't know if it's worth it really to do. So I might say, you know what, maybe I should just stay home and maybe I'll do this another night or something. So there's that kind of conversation. But to say yes, but only an hour and a half is, I don't know how that's going to go for the two of them in terms of trying to work out a compromise here.
If I want to see you home in 2 hours,
2 hours?
yes, 2 hours and a half, you have maximum to be home.
I'm okay for he go out to have drink with his friends. I understand that guys go into strip club because it's your last freedom night, but I still want him to come home early.
I will say that the whole cultural mandate that heterosexual men go to a strip club or involve strippers is one of those weird cultural things that I don't know if a lot of people actually enjoy. As a heterosexual cis man myself, and I have a lot of friends that have gotten married over the years, I will say that I'm not a huge fan. Every once in a while you'll come across a guy who is, really looking forward to it, but that's kind of rare. And so I just want to point that out, that men like myself should probably just stand up and say, like, do we have to? Can't we do something else? There's so many other things to do besides that. Not there's anything wrong with it. It's, it's consensual. There's plenty of activities one can do in life. But anyway, the point is that she's assuming that they're going to go to a strip club. Is he actually? I don't know. I guess I could see that being in the cards. But anyway, so she seems like, yeah, I know he's going to go out. I know he's going to go to a strip club, blah, blah, blah. And maybe they should have a more detailed conversation about that. It's like, well, what are you going to do? Because I'm okay with this, I'm okay with that. But, if you do this and that, that's really going to hurt my feelings. Let's see if they can have that conversation.
And you don't pack it. You need to pack it.
I know.
Tomorrow we leave in early morning.
I know.
And don't drink, please, okay?
Don't drink at all?
Don't get drunk, Jovi. I know.
Okay, I won't get drunk, but I'm gonna probably, it's my bachelor party, of course I'm gonna have a
2
drink.
glass you can have.
So, again, I just don't think this is a great way to have this conversation. For her to say, you can only stay out for an hour and a half, you can't drink, you can't do this, just speak from your worries instead of it being, here are my rules for you. And a lot of couples will do this to each other, and I don't recommend it. When you have rules, it would be tempting for Jovi to walk away. He seems to be okay with this, but it'd be tempting for him to walk, especially if they create this dynamic, and it happens a lot. Jovi could walk away from this situation going like, okay, how can I get away with something? How can I fudge on the rules, or how can I manipulate this and that? It creates this mother-child relationship that almost promotes rebellion from the child person in the role of the child. Instead of being a mutual relationship where you as a partner, you say, look, I'm worried about X, Y, and Z. And so do you understand that really scares me? And it scares me because if you do X, Y, and Z, you're going to get hurt. I might lose you. I might get real angry at you. And I don't want to have that happen. And then you give to your mutual partner on the same level of power as you, your emotions, your vulnerability. You let them know how things will affect you, and then they can do things on their own. The analogy I always give is I was 13 years old, and I had ridden on horses before, I think, kind of, but I was in Montana on this really large ranch. Actually, I was over there to help build a sport court for these kids who were they had committed crimes, real major crimes, and instead of going to detention, they went to this ranch as a way of rehabilitating them. And so my group was going out there to help them in some way. Anyway, the point is there was this giant ranch of, I think it was 1,100 acres in Montana, and there were some horses, and this was the first time that I'd ridden a horse without there being a fence. It was just open nature, and I had a horse that just liked to run. And I'm on the horse, and the horse is running, and people are trying to chase me down because they know I don't know how to control a horse. I have no idea how to steer it, how to get it to stop. I'm just holding on for my life. And I'm laughing the whole time because I'm thinking, oh my God, this is amazing to ride such a powerful animal that's so big and fast. It's just like, whoa. And then I see a stump up ahead, and I think, oh my God, we're heading right for that stump. I'm dead. We're going to smash into that stump. I'm going to go flying, and this is how I die. And then we get almost to the stump, and the horse goes around the stump. And in that moment, as my life was flashing before my eyes, I realized, oh yeah, horses have eyes and a brain, and they know not to run into stumps. I use this analogy because we have to remember that our spouses have eyes and brains and ears. They can do things on their own. You don't have to tell them what to do. If you download your information to them, they can use that to guide their own life so that they take your feelings into account. For example, I'm just going to take a guess that Yara is worried that he is going to be really intoxicated. He is going to hurt himself. He's going to cheat on her maybe, or he's going to come home and he's going to be really annoying, or he's not going to be able to wake up the next morning because they have to, do something early in the morning. And so she's worried about that. She's worried about being hurt. She's worried about her feelings being hurt. She's worried about him cheating and him being pulled away from her, whatever the case, her worried about his health, this sort of thing. And that's okay. And so, but instead of downloading that information, you try to control. You act as if this other human being doesn't have the wherewithal or the care or the empathy or the warmth for you, the love for you, to do right by you if they knew where you were coming from. And instead you try to control the other person. You say, okay, hour and a half, no drinking, no this, no that, no that. And that gives the impression to the other person that you don't really care about them and that you're just controlling. I don't think this is the optimal way for the two of them to be communicating about this. But Joey seems to be taking it well, so let's see how he does.
Understand. I will drink, but I will keep it under control.
Few drinks, that's all.
Yeah. I love you. Call me if you need anything, okay? Okay. Love you.
Bye.
I want Joey to have fun, but I just want him to think about me.
I don't think that's going to happen. Even if it wasn't his bachelor party, I can't imagine that would happen. So I think Jovi is going to fail miserably, and I guess we'll find out how Yara reacts to that.
Party. This is my one last night out with the guys. This is goodbye to the old Jovi. I just want to cut loose a little bit and have a good time before my life changes completely.
So I don't know. But I've worked with a lot of people with substance abuse problems, and often one of the worst binges that people can go on is when they start with this notion of this is my final night. When people will try to go off of cocaine, they'll say, okay, I'll just have one final binge and then I'll be done with it. Or alcohol. Usually that doesn't end well. If you think of it, if you're in the life of using, and you think of it as this is my last hurrah, then this mindset kicks in of, well, I got to cram in a lot of use into this one thing. I've got to do all the things. Instead of thinking, well, a little bit of alcohol is fun, and maybe a moderate is like, but a lot of alcohol usually never leads to anything good. But that usually isn't of the mindset of someone that suffers from problem use. They have pushed those thoughts aside, or the desire to be intoxicated really overpowers their rational mind. I don't know if Jovi has a problem with substances. Let's watch.
2 upstairs. Show him a very good time. Upstairs.
Yeah?
Yeah. Now.
You're forcing me.
You say whatever you want. Now.
All right, interesting. I don't think we've seen this kind of scene on this show, or at least the shows that you want me to watch and the couples you've wanted me to watch over the years. So, okay, as I always want to think about, what's the fairness of this sort of situation? I'm guessing a lot of people watch this and think Jovi is a scumbag. But there usually is an arrangement that people have of, okay, honey, I'm going to go to, regardless of gender, okay, I'm going to go to our bachelor party. This might happen, this might happen, this might happen. What's okay with you? And you can talk about that. I don't think they talked about this happening, so, or at least on camera, so we don't necessarily know how Yara would feel about this. Now, of course, Jovi knows this is being filmed, so presumably he has enough brain cells to understand that Yara's going to see this eventually. So maybe he is confident that Yara would be okay with this. It's tempting to watch this and say that Jovi is being a scumbag, but we don't know what the arrangement is with Yara. At the very least, we do know that Jovi said he would be home by a certain time and that he would maybe even check in with her, and that doesn't seem to be happening. So this doesn't bode well for the two of them and their conflict that might be coming from this. But I'm really curious what Yara would say if she saw this. On one hand, she might say like, oh my God, he's cheating on me. Okay, that's within normal limits. At the other end of the normal limit, she could say, it's his bachelor party. I'm not threatened by her. I don't care. I know what they do at those clubs. They do lap dances. It's not a big deal. Sometimes Yara might say, sometimes when I go to a strip club, I get lap dances. It's not a big deal. I don't know where Yara stands on that. So I have a hard time interpreting how much of a problem this is right now.
Take that. Go.
All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.